Welcome, everyone. Before we get into Monday Night Raw from October the 20th, 2025, I want to get into this article on Media Post first. And it says WWE's boosting Netflix viewing growth, lower churn from October 15th. So as we are complaining about record low viewership for the Raw on Netflix, the trade magazines or the trade sites are actually touting the Raw viewership. Now, they're not going to say that it's great or anything like that, but we're going to go through this article real quick so that we can all be on the same page. So, it says, this is from Wayne Friedman. I don't know who this guy is. It says, Ampere Analysis says that WWE, the wrestling entertainment programmer, is seeing an average of 6.5 or 6.5 million viewing hours per broadcast of its weekly show, WWE RAW, which is 2 to 2.5 hours in duration. The show has been on the air since January 2025 when Netflix's contract with the programmer began. Through the 25-week period, WWE RAW has pulled in 88.6 million total views, defined as viewing hours per hour of content in the first half of the year. So it says Joshua Rustich, who is a senior analyst of Ampere Analysis, says this is an impressive feat as it was available in only 12 markets, covering about 52% of Netflix's subscribers. In comparison, first and second place seasons of Adolescence and Squid Game were available globally. Let's pause right here. So, apparently, Raw wasn't even in all the markets available to Netflix, which I didn't know. So, once again, when we talk about the information that's coming out, the information has asterisks that we had not really considered. Secondly, 88.6 million viewers in 25 weeks. That's quite a bit. And 6.5 million viewers per broadcast, or viewing hours per broadcast. So I guess that's people watching the show per broadcast. All right. So the rest of the article compares the churn, meaning the amount of people who downloaded and subscribed to Netflix for an event and then basically let their subscription lapse. That WWE's churn is lower. It is negative 18.2% when you compare it to Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson or the NFL Christmas Day game. This actually adds to the argument of why Monday Night Raw is a good fit for Netflix. Basically, Netflix has had to deal with the fact that there is a lot of churn. That there is going to be people who are going to let their subscriptions lapse. Now, I know Netflix is one of the most popular streaming services in the world, despite the fact that it loses a ton of money. But Netflix doesn't always have something that people want to see. So people may decide not to pay for it if they're not using it. So if their favorite show is Squid Game, yes, 100 million people will watch Squid Game, but if it's only 12 episodes, after that 12 episodes is over, people start to churn out. And they're comparing it to sporting events, but you could also compare it to TV shows. I think there was like 100 million people or something like that watched the Mike Tyson versus Logan Paul fight. But they said like 25% of those people, they let Netflix go afterwards. So Netflix got a short-term boost, and then there was a huge drop-off. Meanwhile, the WWE fans are consistent. They're there every week. And they continue with Netflix. They don't let their subscriptions lapse. And that's the benefit to having pro wrestling. There's no off season. It's not a one-time event, and there's no off season. It's consistent. It's there every single week. This was the benefit to it when it was on cable as well. Even when the ratings weren't doing well, it is a consistent driver of viewers. People will be there to watch the show. And some people were keeping cable just to watch the show. And I know a lot of people they like to argue about whether Raw is doing good on Netflix or not. I mean, again, we don't know. There's always more information than we actually have. But the consistency of them having a live event every single week for the people to watch, and those people who are choosing to watch that also choosing to keep Netflix to do it, is a positive. This is, if you're a subscription-based company, this is what you want, because these subscriptions are paid out monthly, if I remember correctly, right? All these subscription services are paid off monthly. That means every 4 episodes, there's pretty much a payment. So if people are watching Raw and they're engaged in the product, then 4 weeks go by, they paid for it. 4 weeks go by, they paid for it. As opposed to somebody logging onto Netflix for that one fight and then going immediately afterwards and logging off again and just saying, okay, cancel my account, or watching that movie that they wanted to see and then canceling their account, or whatever the case may be. So we don't know the real numbers, but it seems like the trade sites are saying WWE has been a good investment for Netflix. And I know that there's going to be people who are not going to care about this. They don't want to hear it. They're going to put their fingers in their ear, la, 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 la. I get it. But ultimately, these are the people who have a little bit more information. They're actually analyzing this stuff. They're paying more attention. They seemingly are telling you that Raw is a good fit for Netflix and that it's working out. If for nothing else, then the subscribers are staying. So maybe ad revenue is going to be a question, obviously. But if the subscribers are staying, then they're getting money from somewhere. So that's because they're getting a direct payment. So that's something, right? All right. So you guys can argue with this as much as you want. But it seems like WWE is doing well on Netflix. On to our regular course of action here. We're going to talk about Monday Night Raw and LA Knight fans. Any LA Knight fans in here? Yes, you come to the front of the classroom. Come to the front. Because I've been telling you people for like a year now that LA Knight ain't got no motion. No motion. We've been talking about this. Kevin Nash even talked about it. Kevin Nash went from dissing LA Knight, calling him a Rock knockoff, to now saying, man, maybe he should be the world champion because this thing is getting kind of monotonous. And Triple H just kind of looks at it and be like, nah, not interested. Not going to do that. Not going that direction. I got a better direction. And it's Jey Uso versus CM Punk. All right, let's talk about this. So Adam Pearce strips Seth Rollins officially of the World Heavyweight Championship, blamed it on the bronze, blamed it on Paul, blamed it on Seth Rollins' shoulder. He said that the Battle Royal winner will face CM Punk at Saturday night's main event for the World Heavyweight Championship, and the Battle Royal is tonight. Braun Breaker has the World Heavyweight title, which he confiscated from a beaten and battered Seth Rollins. Adam Pearce wants the championship, but Braun Breaker doesn't want to give it to him. Instead, he forces Adam Pearce to say, please. And then he hands it over. Paul Heyman wants to know why everybody is so mad. That the Browns, they're ambitious. They saw an opportunity with a weak Seth Rollins and they took it. He said they pulled the move. He pulled his move at WrestleMania because he saw how many WrestleMania main events Braun Breaker was going to have. He knew that Bronson Reed was better than Roman Reigns and said that Seth Rollins couldn't shoulder the responsibility of leading the vision, and said that there will be no more Seth Rollins main events for WrestleMania because the vision had taken their ambition and took his spot. They conspired against Seth Rollins. They conspired against Seth Rollins. All right, let's talk about this thing right now. Look, I figured Seth Rollins was hurt, and that's why they did all of this. They kind of microwaved the heel turn for the, well, not even a heel turn because they were already heels. He microwaved the split of the Vision, which is the only option they had. If he had to have surgery, he's going to be out for months. He's probably going to miss WrestleMania. We got to move on. We got to move forward. Seth Rollins has been a very interesting project for the WWE, because it's almost like this guy is spinning his wheels. The exact same thing happened to the guy 10 years ago, where he got hurt after cashing in the Money in the Bank and had to miss and give up a world championship. It's almost like this guy just cannot get forward. Yes, there's a lot of people that don't like him for various reasons. I don't like how they have presented him. Not been a big fan of his performances the last year or so. It has very much felt that Seth Rollins was a forced top guy and not a natural and organic top guy. And it really didn't feel forced until 2019. I've said that before here. When he was the man's man, I was like, this guy is the lamest son of a bitch on the roster. And now he's the world champion again, and he's unbeatable. Like, The Fiend couldn't even beat him. The fans had to boo the match out of the building in order for The Fiend to finally beat this guy. And I'm like, this is not organic. As inorganic as people claim John Cena was, as inorganic as people claim the Roman Reigns push was, nothing was more inorganic than that 2019 Seth Rollins push. And then he was demoted, and it felt a little bit more natural there. And then 2023 happens, or 2022, when Triple H takes over. And, Vince had beat him like a drum with Cody Rhodes. So he was basically planning to move Seth Rollins out of the way. And he's still going to be an important part of the show, but he's probably going to drift over to a non-essential part of the show, like Randy Orton. And Triple H decided that Seth Rollins was the centerpiece of WWE. And so he started force-feeding us Seth Rollins into main events of WrestleMania, putting him in positions that he should not be for an absurd length of time. He put Seth Rollins in the ring with The Rock, for God's sake. All right? Absurd. He put Seth Rollins in a huge feud with CM Punk that lasted over a year. It's still going on, technically. Right? And none of this stuff has really clicked. None of this stuff, him beating Roman Reigns and all this stuff, none of this stuff is really, it all has felt inorganic. So I feel that we have been liberated from Seth Rollins. This injury is terrible. I don't like to see people get hurt, but this injury has done us as fans a real favor, because now we don't have to suffer Seth Rollins. We can say it's been inorganic. It ain't been working. It ain't really been clicking outside of people going, oh. It ain't been much more than that. All right? It ain't been much more than that. And now we don't have to deal with that anymore. Now, with him being gone for a while, they'll have an opportunity to revamp the character, to do something new with him, to bring him back fresh as a babyface. I don't know how that's going to work, but we'll see. And hopefully he'll be motivated, and hopefully he'll be different when he comes back. Now, the Bronze. Okay, this is a big push for the Bronze. Both Bronze. They're obviously leading with Braun Breaker, so that's a good thing. I like that. Bronson Reed he's being positioned as being the now, while Braun Breaker is being positioned as being the future. I don't know. Anyway, Paul Heyman goes to Adam Pearce, and he finds out that Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker are out of the Battle Royal. No reason given. They're just out of the Battle Royal. Okay. Sure. Yes, you're two hot heels. You're not going to put them in the Battle Royal. Two of your top guys. Guy just beat Roman Reigns. Guy just killed Seth Rollins. He's not going to get put in the Battle Royal, though. There's no reason for it. Oh, he embarrassed me in the ring. Come on. You're supposed to be a businessman, Adam Pearce. You don't put the bronze in the Battle Royal anyway. He pressures Paul Heyman to say please. Heyman says please. He damn near begs. Adam Pearce still says no. So now Heyman's got to go to the bronze and explain to them why they're not in the Battle Royal. And, well, they're not happy about that. And they want to go and hurt everybody. They want to go beat Adam Pearce up. That's what Brian Breaker wants to do because, he's smart. But Paul's just a little bit sharper. And Paul basically says, hey, look, CM Punk, listen to me. Brock Lesnar, listen to me. Roman Reigns, listen to me. Look at how their careers went. I made them world champions, and they had the longest title runs of all time and all this sort of stuff because they listened to me. Allow me a volley, sir. And they accept Paul Heyman's guidance. And they say, well, we still have a lot to learn. And they're both menacing in saying so. But they did say that they still had a lot to learn. This brings us to the Battle Royale main event. Earlier in the night, the Usos, Jimmy and Jey, are backstage and they're having some issues. Jey was trying to apologize to Jimmy for his attitude, but Jimmy was like, I don't want to deal with that. Said that the Battle Royal is any man for himself. Everybody can get it. And then Jimmy says that Roman is wrong. Jey has fallen off because he's forgotten who he is. He doesn't believe in himself anymore. While Jey is questioning whether Jimmy is right and that the problem is that he doesn't believe in himself, or is the problem that Roman is right, and that is helping others is a mistake. Jey seems to believe that Roman is right and that you shouldn't waste your time helping a bunch of other people. This takes us to the Battle Royale, the main event of the evening. The winner of the Battle Royale was Jey Uso. The storyline of the match was that Jey, at least on 2 occasions, was about to get eliminated when Jimmy saved him. But when it came down to the wire, Jey threw Jimmy out. So that was supposed to be the heat, but it's every man for himself, so, it is what it is. The Battle Royal itself was what it was. Dominic Mysterio, they actually pulled off a Stone Cold Steve Austin spot for Dominic Mysterio where he got thrown out, but the referees didn't see it. So he slid back in. He ended up still losing the match, which was ridiculous. If you're going to go through all that, he should have won. But it was a nice little hook for the match to lead people to believe that Dominic was going to have a great night. LA Knight was in the final 4, and then he got dumped out along with Jimmy Uso. AJ Styles had a pretty decent showing. He was one of the final 5, but he was thrown out too. So CM Punk was on commentary. They got in the ring. They did the face-off for Jey Uso versus CM Punk. The match will take place at Saturday night's main event in 12 days. And you might as well just give Punk the belt. Just give Punk the belt. Look, this year has been a year of errors with this Jey Uso thing. I get it. I like Jey. I think that he's a good character. But we have to realize that we don't need Jey Uso in this spot. We don't. I get that when they want him put him in a tweener spot, but he still gets the biggest pops, and everybody wants to eat. That does nothing for a match with CM Punk, because CM Punk is also a babyface. So unless you're going to turn Jey Uso heel officially and completely, this is yet another babyface versus babyface match. Where are your heels? Why do you not have heels? You took your top heels out of the match. You had another top heel in the match, but he lost. It literally, come on, smarten up. This can't work. Secondly, nobody in their right mind believes that Jey Uso is going to beat CM Punk. Now, this is probably exactly why it will happen. because nobody believes it. But nobody believes it because it shouldn't happen. It should not occur. Now, usually, if a championship is vacant and Survivor Series is on the way, we build up and we put it at Survivor Series. They're doing it at Saturday night's main event. Okay, I ain't mad at that. But I'm not feeling Jey Uso versus CM Punk. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm not going to sit here and play pretend. I don't give a shit about that match. It should be LA Knight versus CM Punk. That's where the heat is. Even if they're both baby faces, that's where the heat is. Those have been the two guys that have been going at it back and forth. Jey could have furthered Jey's story by him helping Jimmy and then getting eliminated. Either by Jimmy or by somebody else because he helped Jimmy. And that could have furthered Jey's story. Jey betraying Jimmy by throwing him out it's a good furthering of the angle, but I don't want to see the outcome of that. The outcome of that is Jey Uso versus CM Punk. I don't want to watch that match. I'm just going to keep it 100. I don't care about Jey Uso being a main event talent. That's been a problem all year. It's not inorganic like Seth Rollins has been. But it's clear to me that you're asking him to shoulder something he is not fully prepared for. He's over and he sells a bunch of t-shirts, which is nice. That's fine. But my God, enough's enough. All right? The guy is a yeet. That's all he is. Like, he's not out here cutting the greatest promos in the world. He's not having the best matches in the world. People just want to yeet. That's it. If he yeeted and did nothing else, they would be happy. That's literally all there is. There's nothing else to this character. There's no rest of this guy. He's a gimmick. It's a huge gimmick. And I'm not impressed. I'm kind of done with it, if we're being honest. Let's move on. AJ Styles and Dragon Lee win the tag team championships from JD McDonough and Finn Balor. That was exciting. That was interesting. The first tag team championship match we had in 4 months, almost. And there's a title switch. All right, so I'm glad Dragon Lee got something. I'm not sure what kind of legs this tag team has, considering it was thrown together at the last minute. But AJ Styles gets a championship run, which is great. He's still phenomenal. And Dragon Lee is the future. This clearly, it feels like it was supposed to be Dragon Lee and Rey Mysterio, but they decided to switch it out with AJ Styles because Rey is hurt. And this is fine. The Judgment Day are still having their problems. And I'm not even going to address Judgment Day. I don't care about Judgment Day at all, actually. Dominic Mysterio defeated Rusev again. The guy who refused to do jobs. Next, we're going to hear about how there was better guys in the NWA. There was better guys on Ring of Honor than Dominic Mysterio, and Rusev refused to do jobs to them. He refused to do a job to Fuego del Sol. He refused to do a job to Sammy Guevara or any other pencil neck geek who's not over that Tony Khan wanted him to lose to. Anyway, Rusev was pinned with a 619 and a frog splash after he was kicked in the ball sack because of a referee being distracted. Dominic is really over as a cheating heel because he's one of the only people that actually cheats and puts effort into cheating. Penta prevented Dominic from running away. This led to Penta and Rusev having their issue. Dominic, while they were having their whatever, ended up pocketing the boot, pocketing the hammer that goes to the bell. He put it in his boot again. This time he got caught with it. The referee took it, and as the referee's back was turned, Rusev turned his back as well, and Dominic kicked him in the balls from behind. That led to the 619 and the frog splash. And he won the title and skirted off. Afterwards, Penta gave a tornado DDT to Rusev because Rusev had attacked him earlier. So this 3-person feud is still going, even though Dominic has beaten both of them already. So he should be going forward to something else. He's beaten Rusev twice in the span of a month. So Rusev should be out of the conversation. We should be moving on to somebody else. Who's next? I could see that now Finn Balor doesn't have a championship. Maybe he should now start pursuing Dominic. And we can finally get rid of this Judgment Day stuff. There has to be some other people on the roster too for him to wrestle, right? I mean, now that I think about it, the mid card is kind of weak. Maybe we get Sheamus back in there. Maybe you work the New Day in there. I don't know. But Dominic Mysterio, of course, is a highlight. I still think he should be more of a focus on the show. He should talk more, definitely. And not just do backstage stuff with the Judgment Day, but like in the ring stuff. Maxine Dupree defeats Becky Lynch by disqualification after taking Becky Lynch to her absolute limit. And Becky Lynch ends up bashing Maxine Dupree in the head with her championship belt and getting disqualified. A lot of near falls from Maxine Dupree. She actually is showing off quite a bit. She has improved dramatically. I am extremely impressed at Maxine Dupree. I still think it's a waste of time because they're not going to give her the belt. To have her doing all of this stuff, you're better off putting her in the women's tag team division so that she can show off and do the hot tags and all that kind of stuff. But her improvement has been leaps and bounds. I've been very impressed. And compared to some other people, Jade Cargill, she has improved dramatically. You know, over the course of the last year or so, Maxine Dupree has looked pretty good. Now, she's still imperfect, but she has gone pretty far, and I've been very impressed with her performance. Becky Lynch got disqualified. There was nothing more to it. She just got disqualified, and that was it. After that, Becky Lynch assaulted her and beat her up. So there was that. Later on, Becky Lynch, she went up to Paul Heyman and she threatened him. She said a whole lot of stuff to Paul Heyman that the crowd apparently didn't give a shit about. She said that he was a penguin-faced prick who her husband never trusted, and that Seth Rollins knew that Paul would betray him. And when Seth returns, he's not going to hurt Paul. He's going to hurt everybody, all the Nepo babies that Paul surrounds himself with. He's going to destroy them. He's going to hurt them. He's going to make Paul Heyman wish that he was hurt too. And she was very aggressive with this. And I like that it was addressed and not just completely forgotten. But I don't see why Paul can't go and recruit a girl to handle the Becky Lynch problem. I also don't see why Becky Lynch isn't a thorn in their side. This is, storytelling. Becky Lynch could do things like, imagine if, just throw this out there. I know people ain't going to like it. But Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed are in the Battle Royal. And Becky Lynch tries to eliminate one of them. Maybe they're teetering over the ropes and Becky Lynch comes out and starts yanking at his leg or something. As, trying to get him out. Or she causes a distraction and he gets thrown out. And that's her revenge on the Bronze. And, now I understand that part of the reason why you don't want to do that is you don't want to turn her babyface. Right? She's in the middle of it being in a really hot angle with Maxine Dupree, and she's really working to get Maxine Dupree over. But I'm just thinking of ways where we could have done something more than her threatening a cowering Paul Heyman that Seth Rollins, who was wearing high heels and sequins, is going to come back like fucking Thor or something like that and wreck everybody, which nobody believes. We've never seen that out of Seth Rollins. So I'm not under any circumstances believing that Seth Rollins is going to show up and start raising hell. I don't believe that at all. but Becky believes it. She should believe it. That's her husband. Anyway. The people were chanting for AJ Lee. There was no AJ Lee. Where is AJ Lee? Is she still a thing? It seems like they're going to drag this Maxine Dupree thing out. It's just a TV feud. And they're going to have the final match. They're going to end up having another match, obviously. And after that match, AJ Lee will make her appearance. And she beat Becky Lynch back in, what was that, Crown Jewel? What event was that? That wasn't Crown Jewel, was it? Was it in Paris? I think. I forget where it was. No matter where it was, that was the last time Becky Lynch lost, and she's been looking very vulnerable since. And she's done a good job of really making Maxine Dupree look really good. And I think that's been part of the story, is I would like for Maxine to go out there and beat people. Like, if she's really improved as much as we see, and it's not just Becky Lynch and her magic tricks, then put Maxine Dupree in there with somebody else, and let's see how it looks. I mean, I don't know who else is in the mid card. You know, maybe put her in there with Kairi Sane or somebody like that, so we can see how good she really is, and it's not just Becky Lynch walking her through the match. Because it seems right now that Maxine Dupree has only had good matches with Becky Lynch. And that's only because she's only been booked with Becky Lynch. She hasn't been booked with anybody else. So I'm very interested in seeing how they would book her, or how she would look if she wrestled somebody else, you know. But they won't do it. They think she can only wrestle Becky. So there that is. Speaking of Kairi Sane, there was a vignette for the Kabuki Warriors as Asuka said that Rhea Ripley got what she deserved, which was a broken nose. She got a broken nose. And that they broke Io's spirit and broke Rhea's face. And said that she finally got to see the ruthlessness in Kairi. That's what she wanted to see. Now the two of them need new challenges. They need gold. So the Kabuki Warriors are now going to be going after Alexa Bliss and Charlotte's tag team championships. This is obviously a pivot because Rhea Ripley is hurt. So they're going to do this probably temporarily. I could even see the Kabuki Warriors winning as a way of stretching that sort of storyline out, because Charlotte and Alexa Bliss don't have much else going for them. They don't really have a boatload of opponents lined up after their victory over Sol Ruka and Zarya. There really isn't a lot of people left for them to feud with, and the Kabuki Warriors are in the top women's feud of WWE currently. When Rhea Ripley comes back, this ought to be a big deal with her and Io challenging for the tag team championships. So I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. Also, it will force Charlotte and Alexa Bliss to wrestle singles matches. And maybe you get a rematch of Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton. Okay. Rhea Ripley's face being busted. I think it got busted in Japan. I don't know what actually happened to her. But this is like the second or third time she's broken her nose. And it seems like she's going to get injured every year. And the conversation about wrestler injuries and the amount of injuries to top stars especially, people like Seth Rollins, people like Rhea Ripley, it is becoming yearly. You know, Seth Rollins was injured last year too. Wasn't he injured in WrestleMania last year? When he wrestled The Rock and everything, he got hurt. And then he got hurt again this year. Rhea Ripley was hurt last year. And then she got hurt again this year. It's becoming a regular thing where top stars are at least working several months out of the year with serious injuries. I mean, I think this era of wrestling has had the most serious run of injuries than I can remember in history. I can't remember so many top stars in both companies being hurt at the same time. I'm almost certain now it is the cutting of house shows. Even though I'm pretty sure Rhea Ripley got hurt at a house show, these guys getting hurt now, I'm almost certain it's not just stupid risks that guys are taking, like, Seth Rollins doing the coast to coast. It's also they're not working as much, and there's probably getting a little too much time off. And it's weird because they don't book Rhea Ripley so much to prevent injury, and she still manages to get hurt, which is insane. And of course, this derails the storyline that she was involved in. Just like, what was it? Maybe even earlier this year when she was injured. Or was it last year? I know she was injured last year, but maybe she was hurt earlier this year too. But maybe they're just going to go back to the face mask thing, which might be fine. Stephanie Vaquer showing against Roxanne Perez. We get a whole lot of nonsense out of this too. After Stephanie Vaquer defeats Roxanne Perez, Nikki Bella actually came out to save her from Roxanne and Raquel in the post match. Nikki still ended up getting beat up, so she didn't help that much, but she helped enough, I guess. Then later on, Stephanie Vaquer was talking about how much she appreciates Nikki Bella, and Nikki Bella was talking about Stephanie Vaquer taking the division to the next level and wants her to be cautious because there's a target on her back. And Stephanie Vaquer says that Nikki Bella, she owes Nikki Bella one. And I think they're going to tease a tag team situation here. Look, I forgot Nikki Bella still worked there. I really did. She's been gone for so long. She's not a regular part of storylines. I forgot she still worked there. Maybe. And I got a feeling this is going to lead to a Nikki Bella heel turn where she's going to try to take the title from Stephanie Vaquer, which is fine. Stephanie Vaquer is going to have to try to carry Nikki Bella to a match, however. But as it stands right now, though, they're going to do this tag team thing. And I'm pretty sure we're supposed to pretend that Stephanie Vaquer looks up to Nikki Bella. And I think they went through all this, didn't they? With Stephanie Vaquer and Io Sky talking about how Nikki Bella paved the way for them. And we wouldn't be here without you. Oh, how many wonderful things you did for us. Blah, 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 blah. Now, they don't know what else to do with Nikki Bella after they beat her with Becky Lynch a bunch of times. Now they're going to say, you're going to have you wrestle the world champion instead. We're going to get you a couple of wins over the rookie and the tall, gangly giant. Even though, by all rights, Raquel Rodriguez should move up. And should definitely be a more serious challenger for Stephanie Vaquer. Because Raquel has looked tremendous the last several months. And Stephanie's not going to lose, but I'm not sure I really want to sit through Stephanie Vaquer and Nikki Bella. Nikki Bella has a bad neck, right? If Stephanie Vaquer botches that flying thing that she does, then Nikki Bella goes to the hospital. And I'm not sure we want that. I don't think we need that on our conscience, right? So I would prefer if it was Raquel. But again, when this is another one of those things where it's staring you right in the face, and whether it's AI or Michael Hayes or Road Dogg or Triple H or Ed Koskey or whoever it is, they're apparently just not looking at the most obvious choices of things staring them in the goddamn face. Raquel Rodriguez is standing right there, right? Oh no, she's not as good a wrestler as Roxanne Perez. She don't get out of here. Who cares about that shit? At this point, we've seen Stephanie Vaquer wrestle some of the most athletic women that you have with Roxanne and Tiffany and Io. Let's let her go in there and wrestle a bruiser. Somebody who's going to throw her around. Somebody who's not going to try to be, super athletic with her. And show us a different side of Stephanie Vaquer. That's what I want to see. I really don't want to see her pity pat around with Nikki Bella, who has a bad neck. I'm really just not interested in that. Not even a guttural hatred of Nikki Bella. Just a general non-interest. And speaking of not interested, our Auntie Pam, she's got a birthday present for Lyra Valkyria. but she's going to give it to her next week, so we don't have to worry about that tonight. But there that is. So that was Monday Night Raw. Look, I will say this. The show was enjoyable. I enjoyed Rusev and Dominic Mysterio. I enjoyed Becky Lynch versus Maxine Dupree. The storyline throughout the show had a great deal of interest. I thought the Bronze might actually crash the main event and, start, beating people up or throwing guys out or something like that, and then people will have to fight them off. I thought they might do that as a way of punishing people for, or punishing Adam Pearce for not putting them in the championship match or putting them in the Battle Royal at least. But they didn't even do anything cool like that, which what badasses would have done that, especially when it got down to the final 5. Like, think about how cool it would have been if, well, not would have been cool, I guess, but if the Bronze had eliminated the Usos. It would have been doubling back to that feud, but it would have opened up the door for, obviously, LA Knight versus CM Punk, which is the match that should be at Saturday night's main event, but obviously it is not. We have not heard hide or hair about John Cena. I think he has 3 more appearances remaining. We haven't heard anything about these appearances. There is not even any conversation. John Cena is pretending to be a cardboard cutout down in NXT where he's standing still and people are just standing next to him taking pictures, What is he going to be doing from this point forward? We have not seen hide or hair of Brock Lesnar. What is he going to be doing? So you have all these people who are big stars, John Cena, Brock Lesnar, AJ Lee, who allegedly is a big star, and these people disappear for weeks and weeks and weeks. We don't know what the fuck they're doing. Nikki Bella just returned. She was off for like 3 months. Logan Paul, I believe, just had a child. So that explains why he hasn't been around. But there's so many people who are under contract at WWE. It's like, where have these people been? It's ridiculous. It's absolutely absurd. I'm pretty sure next week somebody's going to show up that I forgot works for this company. Well, that's Monday Night Raw. I guess it was interesting for the simple fact that they really couldn't do much except to move the storylines forward. If Seth had not been hurt, this show probably would have sucked ass because it would have been more of the same. But because Seth is hurt, Seth went down. They had to pivot and they had to try to do something interesting. Now, depends on what side of the aisle you sit on when it comes to whether they did was good or not. I'm on the side of it wasn't good. I'm on the side of a battle royal was fine to decide who the other person was going to be. But then you look at all the competitors of the battle royal and it was the lowest of the low. They put Otis in that thing, man. Otis was in it. I think Akira Tozawa was in it. CM Punk was cracking jokes about Kofi Kingston being in it. Like, it was not serious. It wasn't a serious battle royal with serious competitors. And I lost interest in it because of that. And I didn't feel like the people who were featured were all that interesting either. Again, to me and all of my fellow fans of LA Knight, we're sitting here with our arms folded, bottom lip poked out, but Triple H ain't never promised you anything. He ain't never told you he actually liked LA Knight. In fact, he's told you the opposite with his behavior. He keeps telling you that he thinks that LA Knight is the same level as Jimmy Uso. I mean, so no matter how good the guy actually is, or if the promoter doesn't give a shit, then ain't a shit given. So there it is. So people complaining about Jey Uso, I get it. I respect it even. But it ain't going to change nothing. Jey Uso is in the seat now. He's a main event guy now. We're supposed to pretend like that's a real thing. So, dream match. Jey Uso versus CM Punk. Have at it, boss. All right, thank you guys for your time. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.
Yeah. We just gonna